Good evening. We'll call the meeting to order, please, with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Welcome, everyone. Roll call, Mr. Lundberg.
Olem.
Yes.
Odie. Yes. Saxer is absent. Scott.
Yes.
Bell.
All right, with that, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as presented, please.
So move.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. No conflict of interest disclosure or waivers this evening. Takes us to approval of the minutes from the regular meeting, November 12th and November 25th, and also a special meeting on November 19th. There's been a first and a second to approve those. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Community input? Do we have any community input this evening? Okay. Hearing none. Financial items, bills and claims. Mr. Lundberg.
Okay. Feel free to ask me any questions that you might have encountered. I had just a few that I noted to point out. On page 3, there's a transfer of our web store sales for the Brandon Valley Food Service Department of $669,000. Just all the credit cards go into the general fund, so we transfer that twice a month. Page 6, there was 2 sport utility vehicles, $118,722, 2 Ford Expeditions being delivered this week. Page 8, Berkman Valley Elementary, payment number 3 of $1,008,903, bringing the total to date to about $2 million. Page 11, Teach Well Solutions, a quarterly payment of $430,000. It's the second quarter of fiscal 25. And then also on the bottom of page 11, there's a bond paying for Fred Assam Elementary and the high school, addition of $1.8 million. For total bills and claims submitted to you for approval, $4,470,263. Advance payments breakdown of $2,725 is listed for you. Pay vouchers of $73,353 and food service bills of $154,200.
Thank you. Hearing no questions, I would entertain a motion to approve the bills and claims as presented, please.
Second.
There's been a first and a second. All of those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Financial report, Mr. Lundberg, whenever you're ready.
The cash report for the month of November, $30,551,000 coming into the month. We had $15 million of receipts and $5,486,000 of disbursements. Left $40,068,000 at the end of November, $10.2 million in the general fund, $2.5 million in the capital outlay fund, $1.6 million in the special education fund, $1.7 million in the bond redemption fund, and just under $24 million in our project fund. The $15 million is itemized on the next 2 pages. The significant increase in this month for the receipts was the first half of our tax draw of just under $12 million. It's the major portion of that. The the investment report of $37,240,919 is itemized for you. Payroll summary for the month of November, $3.4 million of payroll. Normal payroll is 2.9, so we had our $500,000 salary enhancement payment this month, making it $3.4 million of payroll. And the financial reports, the revenues, just under 42% of the fiscal year is completed. You can see most of the revenues are in the 40 percentile. On the expenditure side, the general fund, 41.12, which is about 0.5% under the 41.66% fiscal year expended. Capital outlay fund, 62% expended. Special education fund is low, 34.5%. Reason being that the quarterly payment to to Teachwell was just in this month, and that usually they bill at the beginning of the month, so that's $430,000 that we're short. So that's why it was 34.5% rather than closer to the 41.7% that it was last month or last year. Debt service is at 32.65%. The food service statement shows a net loss, accrued loss of $106,913, which would be right on to the budget of a loss of $300,000. We're about 1/3 through the fiscal year, the school year for meals. And the financial statement for the capital project, Berkman Valley Elementary, is itemized $2.2 million expenses so far. Trust and agency statement shows $286,931 of amounts held for others. Questions?
Paul, I got a question. Looking back a year ago, what was our tax draw from the county for proceeds? I mean, you just said about.
It would have been a little less. I can't remember for sure, Greg, what it was. It would have been a little less than the 12 million that we got this year. And it comes in November and December, and it really hit hard this November. I mean, they paid a lot in November this year, so we'll have a little bit less in December. Yep. Our school district is very, very good on paying property taxes. We have a delinquency rate of 0.5% in the Brandon Valley, so 1/2% delinquency rate, which is very small in comparison to other counties in the state of South Dakota.
What I was getting at is, this district is growing and growing and growing, and I just want to know what the, property tax, if things have gone up, a little bit. So.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Any other questions? All right. If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the financial report as presented.
So move.
There's been a first and a second. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Lundberg. General business items, administration reports, Administrative Center, Superintendent Larson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I will be brief, as you'll hear from me a little later in the agenda. Berkman Valley Elementary School, progress continues. Quality progress, I would note, in terms of where they're at, in terms of scheduling, et cetera. Would also tell you that we're working on finalizing Berkman Valley Elementary website, so folks will be able to track photo images, et cetera, of the progress. So look to have that respective web link for the Board of Education here at our next board meeting. Brandon Valley Legislative Breakfast, we will meet this Thursday at 7 a.m. here in the community room to meet with our local legislators. The governor's budget address occurred on Tuesday, December 3rd. There was a 1.25% increase to public education outlined within the budget address. And then one other item I specifically want to note for the Board of Education that was included in the budget address were Education Savings Account, or ESAs, also known as vouchers. I think it's incredibly important to note that any diversion of public tax dollars to non-public students, AKA private schools or private institutions, is an erosion of our public education system and something that we are adamantly opposed to, and we most certainly will express that to our respective representatives, and then also make certain that our community is acutely aware of actions being taken by our representatives so that they're representative of what the Brandon Valley School District prefers in terms of representation. Academic school year calendar development, that initial draft has been created. It's consistent and corresponding. We'll work through our various councils, taking feedback on that. Tentative adoption timeline, you'll receive a presentation at your first meeting in January with adoption at the second. Middle school classroom addition, the design team is currently in the planning process. We're a long ways down the road in terms of planning, but there's a few details that we are finalizing. Hope to have a final floor plan for the Board of Education here in January, and then we'll look to bid that project end of January, February-ish. So winter of 2025 bid, construction starting in the spring, ongoing throughout the 25-26 school year with the middle school classroom addition open in the fall of 2026. Couple calendar items to note. We have a 2-hour early dismissal for winter break on December 20th. There's no school through January 1st, 2025. January 13, 2024 is a long time ago, so we're going to pretend like that's 25. Half a day flexible workshop for our staff on the 13th, and there's no school on January 20th, 2025. With that, would certainly entertain any questions you have after I say 2 quick items I don't have on my report. First and foremost, on behalf of the Brandon Valley School District staff, I would like to thank the Board of Education for the salary enhancement that is received in the November check. I know that the entirety of the staff, ranging from hourly support staff to the CEO of the district, is extremely grateful for that extra salary enhancement that's provided by the Board of Education in November. Certainly helps cheer up the holidays. So thank you so much for your efforts with that and continued efforts. I think it's going on 11 or 12 years in a row, so appreciate that. Also want to just give a shout out to our CNS department. Just got information that they received USDA Healthy Meal Awards, the Innovative Nutrition Education Award, as well as the Lunch Trailblazer Award. So hats off to Director Cruz and her respective staff under the leadership of Mr. Henschel. So congratulations, CNS staff. With that, would certainly field any questions you have.
All right, no questions. Mr. Lundberg, anything additional tonight?
Just had one item to add that I haven't even had a chance to talk to Superintendent Larson about. Right before the board meeting, Steve Jastrom our architect called me and said that they opened bids on an addition to the Sioux Falls School District that they projected at $280 a square foot, and it came in at $270. So the bidding environment continues to be very favorable for our middle school addition. The architect is very, very positive.
Thank you. High school, Mr. Schleckaway, anything tonight? Mrs. Moore, Mr. Paula? No? Middle school, Dr. Nelson, Ms. Hoff, anything? Quiet. Intermediate school, Mr. Skipstead, Mr. Rothenberger? No. Special services at all, Ms. Otay, Mrs. Mutter? All right. Elementary, anyone? All right. Director of instruction and operations manager? Activities director? Okay, struck out. All right. It's too bad we don't have board policy then to talk about, because we could all get excited about that. All right, that takes us to general business. Item number 1, presentation of the Brandon Valley School District 2025 to 2030 strategic plan. No action on this.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just want to run through draft 25-30 strategic plan, talk a little bit about strategic planning within the Brandon Valley School District. So just a real quick high-level overview of what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk a little bit about the planning process that we engaged in. We're going to review feedback received, and then we're going to take a look at the draft 25-30 strategic plan. And then I also, for the Board of Education, thought I would outline what strategic planning would look like, or may likely look like, for the Brandon Valley School District moving forward as well. So, review of strategic planning process. We gained individual meetings and have insights with our, what I would classify as leadership. Board of Education members engaged in that conversation with me. And then I would just note that administratively, continually engaging with our respective team regarding strategies that can improve our various aspects of our strategic plan. Focus groups, we leaned into our already established groups in the Administrative Council, the Teacher Liaison Council, and the Classified Council. We utilized a family and community survey. Last year in April and May, we had 747 respondents to that. And then in addition to that, some other relevant information that we utilize is BV Listens. That's our work environment survey that is conducted every other year. So biennially, I believe, it would be the appropriate phrase. And then school performance index as well as school improvement plans have helped guide this respective process. So we're going to take a look at it from the 30,000-foot view, and I'm just going to run through the feedback that we have received. In the area of student achievement, strengths that were outlined, and this is again from focus groups as well as the community survey, student achievement, reading protocol or commitment to reading, quality instruction, and then fundamental focus or focus on the fundamentals were like gleaning topics that we would have taken from that respective feedback. When we look at opportunities for growth, feedback received throughout the process, classroom disruptions, and that could be behavior or other is what I would say, because disruptions to the classroom happen when a call comes over the loudspeaker, or somebody needs to be taken out for something or whatnot. So just prioritizing classroom instruction and minimizing disruptions. EL support was an area that was expressed as an opportunity for growth, as well as SPED behavior support. So those were the three biggest ticket items that I would say we gleaned in terms of opportunities for growth when we look at student achievement, respectively. In terms of staff development, common themes in terms of strengths were our professional development plan, our staff development team, so specifically the teacher leadership that is engaged in that respective process, and then teacher leadership specifically is a strength as outlined within staff development. Opportunities for growth, time was an item that was outlined, specifically support staff training, so EA training, those types of things were outlined for opportunities for growth, and then outside opportunities. So one of the challenges associated with strategic planning is you receive some feedback in terms of opportunities for growth, but then as you prioritize what's most important, you may or may not elect to pursue that opportunity for growth. So for example, just had this conversation today. Time, common planning time, ability to collaborate during the school day was something that was recently presented to me as an idea for us in terms of need, with the solution being 2-hour or 1-hour early dismissals for the purpose of collaborative time. Okay? Solution to one of the opportunities for growth that you're presented, but not directly aligned to the concept of student achievement, where we would value quality instruction and not take away or take contact time away. Does that make sense? So as we work through this process, there are times where you'll see things that are opportunities for growth, but sometimes seizing those opportunities plays against us in other areas of the plan, if that makes sense. So we're always strategically thinking about what is best for our kids in terms of promoting learning and student achievement. Facilities and operations, 5-year planning, BV Vision 2040, our current fiscal situation, and then operations services were all outlined as strengths. Opportunities for growth, seasoned facilities, and I think aging facilities was an item that we heard about in terms of feedback, and I stole seasoned from one of our focus groups that I just really appreciated in terms of it sounding good. So seasoned facilities, stretched capital outlay funds, and then operational capacity. So those are all areas that folks think that there may be room to grow in, or areas of concern as we continue to move forward. Fiscal responsibility, again, 5-year planning, annual budget, annual audit, tax rate management, all of those items were gleaning as strengths, opportunities for growth, really that continued balance of compensation and support. The feedback that we would receive or generally would receive in this area was continue to drive staff compensation forward. Additional supports are necessary for staff. So again, you can see where we find that balance between additional compensation for current staff as well as additional supports as necessary. So continue to work through those items. Parent and community relations, really the strengths outlined in that area are the value of education placed on education by our families and our communities, family involvement, and then community and business involvement, all gleaning as strengths. In terms of opportunities for growth, expand collaborative opportunities. I think really mostly that was just a matter of folks saying the really good things that we're doing in terms of collaborative workings, look to build upon those where possible. And then another opportunity for growth that was noted was social media or our absence of district engagement in social media. I'm going to raise my hand and tell you that my daughter would gladly sign me up for TikTok if you guys had an interest in getting on that, even though I think maybe if it doesn't get sold, it's going away. So anyway, just know that that is an area that was outlined for growth, which I have no doubt that I have the ability to grow in that area myself, or not. So looking at our draft 2030 strategic plan, a couple of minor tweaks, and I just will highlight them for your respective review. In the area of staff development, there was some additional language added. Our overarching goal is to support, retain, and recruit highly effective teacher leaders and staff. So that's just an item to note. And then in addition to that, in our area of parent and community relations, I think it's important for us to update that respective verbiage to family and community relations. So we want to strengthen school, family, and community engagement. So when we break it in, when we take a look at these, and again, these are 30,000-foot view items when you receive the actual strategic plan document in its entirety. It will include our core operating principle, our mission, vision, belief statements, all of those respective items. But when we take a look at student achievement, I think when we think about student achievement moving forward 2025 through 2030, I would really take a look at behavior support and training. That's really an area of emphasis that I would look for us to strategically implement as we make decisions moving forward. In terms of academic course expansion, I would say that that has been occurring here over the course of the last 5 years, specifically at the high school as we think about some of the course expansion in the area of health sciences, and then at the middle school when we move to some honors, respective honors pieces. But that is something that we want to continue to look at as well. In terms of character development, we lean into those continued practices. And then I guess I would just note that building-led action strategies are incredibly important. It's not included in our past strategic plan. I don't believe it will most certainly be included in this strategic plan. I think it's important for the board to know and understand that annually, administratively, our entire team is issued a work environment challenge. And basically that's grounded in research and the fact that employees that receive positive feedback every 7 days are generally engaged or highly engaged. So the moral of that support is when you're thinking about work environment, consistently providing feedback to our staff every 7 days is critically important for them being engaged staff members. Facilities and operations. Buildings and grounds. So The first three items outlined in quality facilities are all items that we're currently practicing. The one item I would note is within the 25-30 strategic plan, I will outline a task for our Buildings and Grounds Committee over the course of that 5 years to really take an evaluation of our seasoned facilities and outline the best path forward. So an example of that would be the oldest portion of Brandon Elementary. Is that a situation where renovation is in our best interest, or is that a situation where demolition and rebuild is in our best interest? And those are conversations that need to be ongoing, and we have an amount of time, I'd say over the course of the next 5 years, to really strategize what we want to do and how that looks, and that will fit really naturally as we work through BV Vision 2040 as well. But that will be an item that we will want to take a look at. In terms of growth management, continuing the utilization of enrollment triggers as well as those past practices. And then I also just wanted to note annually having a municipality growth meeting. It's something that we do very regularly with our municipalities in terms of taking a look at where is the residential growth going, expected rooftops, type of housing, et cetera. So all critically important to our growth management. Fiscal responsibility. All items that are currently at play, and then this won't go in our strategic plan, but I think that is very important to note. Do hard things. We can be as strategic as we want to, and when 115 kids fewer show up than you expect to have show up, there is no strategy that is going to help. You just have to do hard things. And I think that that is one thing that I am very proud of as the superintendent of the Brandon Valley School District. When we find ourselves in situations in terms of fiscal challenges, we confront them head on, and we're willing to do hard things and engage in those conversations and find paths forward. So obviously the annual items that we do, the 5-year planning, the long-range planning with BV Vision 2040, critically important. But when faced with challenges, we have to do hard things. And then in terms of fund balance management, because this is an aspect of what we do, maintain that responsible deficit, but I just put a little note that says, as fund balances allow. I think historically, if you take a look at the Brandon Valley School District, Mr. Lundberg, in coordination with the Board of Education, has done a fantastic job of managing our deficit and maintaining a responsible deficit when we can, but then when things are trending in a bad direction, getting them going back respectively. Family and community engagement, building-led opportunities. I think that one of the most important things I've learned in my tenure is they don't delete an email from the principal, but they definitely delete an email from the superintendent. So if it is building-led, it is almost always most well received. So family engagement really runs through our building-led initiatives. Our PTAs and PTOs play a critical role in that. The Links Way is a critical strategy to maintaining engagement with our families as well as our communities, and then just naturally parent-teacher conference as a natural way to connect with folks. In terms of community engagement, classroom engagement is an area that we have seen some growth in, specifically engaging with our outside community businesses in terms of a resource for our classrooms. Internships and apprenticeships in the Brandon Valley School District has exploded, would probably be the best way for me to define that. And that was really a push that was outlined within our last strategic plan and has really gone to new heights. So maintaining a focus on those respective opportunities. Student service learning projects, obviously the Links Way, and then I just wanted to highlight the Brandon Community Foundation. within this strategy as well. As you all know, Building a Brighter BV is a plan that came about a few years ago, and then is really in action now, but there is a collaborative partnership with the Brandon Community Foundation, which ultimately is an endowment fund that gives back to the community. The fund is in perpetuity, so it has a lasting effect. So really continuing to build and grow upon that respective relationship as we work to positively impact the community. How does it all look moving forward if you maintain your respective strategic planning process? What you would look to do is, for lack of a better phrase, you would really work through that feedback process in what would be the last year of that respective plan, and then you would adopt in January of that respective year. So outline the process moving forward. One thing that is exciting from a education research standpoint is we don't have a baseline. So when we use the 4-point scale on our respective categories, we'll have the ability to gain or take a look at how we're doing plan over plan over plan. So that's good information that we'll have in the future. I do want to give a special thank you to all the individuals that provided feedback and insight during the strategic planning process. Their participation was greatly valued. Naturally, there were individual comments that were provided via the survey instrument and the focus group insight, but the gleaning topics that we can approach from a strategic standpoint were, I feel, all pretty clear. The strategic plan is critically important for us administratively as we work to make decisions, and I would lean back into Building a Brighter BV specifically. That was an opportunity or an idea that came across the desk, and one of the very first things that I always do is filter it through, is this directly aligned to the strategic mission of the Brandon Valley School District and what we are trying to do within our strategic plan. So it's a great filter as the administration makes daily decisions regarding opportunities that present themselves. So with that, would certainly field any respective questions that you may have. The entirety of the strategic planning document will be provided within your board packet prior to our next board meeting as well. But with that, would certainly field any questions that you have.
Under student achievement, PBIS/MTSS is for.
Positive behavior intervention system supports, or multi-tiered systems of supports, both, from what I can gather, the same thing. Pretty similar things. But ultimately, it's that intervention system, tier 1, 2, 3. How are we going to proactively manage behaviors, and then what does it look like if you don't? What are those interventions? There's data components in terms of identifying highest areas need, et cetera. So interventions. Yep.
I guess two things. Obviously, thanks for all the research, whether that came from the board or the staff or community. Everything is great to review and be knowledgeable, with. The thing that stood out biggest for me is to do the hard things, I don't care in what topic you're talking about, whether it's academics, sports, staff, everything, as Brandon, we do have a target, and they're always looking to see, or how do we do things, so never being comfortable, so to say. So, thank you.
I like the little catchphrase on seasoned facilities, because then when I turned the page and saw the adoption date of January 2045, I did the math in my head, and I figured I'm really old then, and I better not be sitting here, so, just saying. So, thank you. There are definitely, like Mr. Scott said, and, doing hard things isn't always easy, 'cause it's not supposed to be. But you're exactly right. The expectations that are set up on our district as a whole, and you guys probably, and you, I know you feel that on a daily basis. We didn't get here through any spontaneous accidents. It's all been very, very strategically planned and laid out. So thank you very much for everyone for doing all your work on this, and for Superintendent Larson for putting it together for us. So it makes for a lot of good reading material for your next board packet. So thank you very much. All right, item number 2, I would entertain a motion to approve the independent auditor's report for fiscal year 2024 as presented by ELO CPAs and advisors, please. There's been a first and a second. All of those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Personnel, I would entertain a motion to approve items 1 through 7 as presented, please.
So move.
There's been a first and a second. All of those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Items 8 through 14 are there for your information only. Under communication, there are some building permit applications for your review if you would like to look at those. Otherwise, Board of Education, there's a thank you note there for your review, which takes us to formal reports. Does anyone have a formal report they would like to share this evening?
Yes, Madam Chairman. Building and Grounds Committee, we met last Thursday at 5:30. We reviewed a couple different things. The Berkman Valley Elementary project is progressing well. Dirt work, utility installations, foundations, and the precast concrete are all in progress. We also reviewed and discussed the site plan for BVMS Middle School, the classroom addition construction project. That's going well. The timeline for that, we'll get bids in February of next year, or 25, I guess. Construction beginning in the spring, and then hopefully having that open in the fall of 2026.
All right, anybody else?
Transportation met this last Tuesday. It was a great meeting, again, lots of good talks. We've grown our fleet, so to say, if you want to call it that. Obviously, you had heard in the minutes before that we had gotten the 2 expeditions. So that is well needed. As always, we are looking for more bus drivers. So if anybody is interested, or I guess it doesn't even need to be bus drivers, any drivers. So please consider that. We pay, as we were talking, we pay more than anybody in the local area, Sioux Falls. So please reach out. Mid, long-range plans, obviously still Berkman Valley, those discussions for future busing. Obviously, all of our schools' future busing is a hot topic that we are always reviewing to see how we can do better. Other than that, thank you.
All right. Teach Well is going strong. There's not much new to report there other than we keep getting kids and we keep getting projects. So that's good. Anything else? All right. With that, looks like it takes us to the end of our scheduled agenda. I would entertain a motion to adjourn, please. There's been a first and a second. All of those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you, and thank you everyone for joining us tonight.